Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Athletic School podcast. Today, it's a guest speaker that we already talked, Loves. So thanks so much for joining me again. Today, it's going to be more as a conversation. We have talked back and forth about soccer, football, life in general. We're part of the tribe as well. So we want to talk about our relationship with sports. You have been going through some stuff. I have been going through some stuff. Kind of just putting our thoughts and insights out there. So thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Yeah.
I think we connect very well and think very similarly on many stuff. And yeah, I'm excited to just talk about different topics and
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
get more personal as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Two things that I want to hear from you. One thing is the football side that I know you have been working on a lot. But the other thing for me is I've noticed that you are not present on social media anymore as much. You even
Yeah,
mentioned to me that you deleted Instagram for a while and stuff. So why is that?
yeah. Now I'm back on Instagram a little bit. Yeah,
Hmm.
but I was actually in the summertime. I was off for like 2 months, I think. Um, because yeah, social media for me or Instagram especially, it's like a love-hate relationship. I know it's an incredible tool and you can connect so well with so many people all over the world. It's also like a tool to show who you are, so people see what you're about, what you love doing, what your personality is like, and that's way easier to connect with people. And that's how I've connected with so many people. On the other hand, sometimes it just like it annoys me a lot to say it like that. I mean, you post only your highlights of your life,
Yeah.
not all the ups and downs. Also, sometimes I think you get too focused on portraying yourself in some type of way on Instagram, and I think it's also good for the brain to be away from it every now and then. And I just had like an intuition, and I love going after my intuition. Um, that I want to take some time off in the summer and enjoy the summer and um, yeah, be
Yeah.
away from it. And yeah, now I'm back, but I'm posting like every now and then. I'm posting a little bit. Um, yeah, but for
Yeah.
me, social media is is a great tool, but I love still being in control of it. You know what I mean?
For sure, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, I love what you said because it makes a lot of sense. I mean, we connected because of Instagram in a way. I also
Yeah,
tried,
exactly.
but so many other guys. I've watched so many reels and the other things that helped me in a way and helped me bring stuff to the athletic school and create different content as well. But at the same time, I feel like it's hard to draw a line to 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 kind of decide where social media it's helpful for us and where it starts to not being helpful anymore because we kind of lose track of how many time we're just scrolling down there, and I feel like you can kind of create a little bit of the environment that you are in social media, by
Yeah,
the
for
people that you
sure.
follow. So
And
that
muting people, all that you can.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, if you're just like watching people dance on TikTok, then I think you have a bigger problem than, people that are watching motivational reels. You
Yeah,
know, I
we're
think,
talking about optimizing here for us. Like
yeah,
it's still
exactly. Exactly. So I think it's tricky. But once we become self aware, we can definitely like, kind of like be in control of the situation. But mean, and unfortunately I work with, not unfortunately, but I work with Instagram, so it's hard for me to delete it, but I have deleted in the past and I wanted to delete it again just because I don't want to be, a slave of social media in a way.
yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting, and I love what you mentioned. But and tell me a little bit about football. How is that going with you? I also have some stuff that I would like to share.
Yeah.
But last time we talked, you were coming back from an injury. How is that going?
Yeah. So last time I was coming back from injury, I was almost back to team training,
Hmm.
and I had like, as I told you before for the podcast, yeah, I had a little setback. Was difficult to deal with. I trained too much too early again, and yeah, during the time I thought a bit about going to new directions, because that's also what I feel like is very important also for athletes listening. Um, if you get like too concentrated, too stuck up with the one goal, yeah, professional here, I have to. It can be like a blockage, a, a barrier, oftentimes. Mm, and that's what I discovered for myself as well. Was like a white noise in the background of my life all the time, um, and letting loose. So yeah, I let loose from the um, from absolutely having to become a professional football player, and I focus more and more on playing because yeah, I started playing because I love to play, um, and already in the last couple of weeks and months, it it freed me up in my mind a lot. And yeah, I think right now I'm not focused on the professional route. If people listening are still like sure they want to become professional, I still recommend
Hmm.
that some type of letting loose, of seeing that as your only option, is beneficial. Letting go from the outcome, but still putting in the action to like to progress is very important, and see life like with all that it has, not just your sport. You're not defined by being an athlete. There's a lot to get out of life, and if you see that, that also helps you become a better athlete.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, and it makes a lot of sense. And I think I just realized that in my life, since I came to the US, I my head I always like, in order to be successful, I need to play. You know, I need to play as much as I can. I gotta go Division 1, and I need to get drafted. So that was
Yeah.
my first thought. I'm not even close to that, but I think throughout the process, I realized that performing and performing my best would make me feel successful, you know, and because there's so many different variations why I don't play sometimes. And since I got here, not every season I played as much as I think I should, or you know, as I wanted to. But just right now, in my last year, I'm feeling okay not playing, because every time I go to training, and I'm as a goalkeeper, I'm saving a lot of balls, and you know, and I'm performing. I still feel good, you know, like I know that the reason I'm not playing, it's not me. It's like it's the coach's choice, and you know, if he wants to choose someone else, that's on him. But at least I'm trying my best, and I'm doing what I like to do. You know, but I had a really hard time um, realizing that, like, well, if I'm playing as good as in training, why I'm not playing, you know? And then I would kind of like self sabotage myself in a way that I would consider myself a failure just because I wouldn't be playing, I wouldn't be
Mm.
getting minutes, you know. Uh, and then what ended up happening is my performance would start to go down because now I'm not feeling good, you know. And I feel like I read so many books that, you know, you need to feel good first in order to play good. You don't need to play good in order to feel good, you know. It's not the other way
Mm.
around. So I think I just realized that. I mean, I'm glad I realized, and it's not that late. I wish I could have realized way before, but I mean, um, I'm glad that, you know, I could notice that in my life, and I'm feeling good even though I'm not playing. And I think it's like back then I would think that it would be an excuse in a way for me, like, oh yeah, no, it's just I'm just giving an excuse that I'm not playing. But actually, I don't think so. Like, I think I actually grown as a person, as an athlete, as a player, and I started realizing that there are things in life that we can control, and there are other things that we cannot control. So I
Yeah,
think that's important.
bro. What you just said, I think this is so valuable. If like the people listening, the athletes listening, listen to that part again, like 2 or 3 times, because realizing that what you just said and learning that about yourself, I think this is so valuable because at the end of the day, the only thing, as I said, you can control is that you give your best every time you step onto the field.
Hmm.
If you can do that, then you have done everything that you can do. Give your freaking best. And yeah, the other thing is difficult to control. But giving your best, I mean, that that is the ultimate thing. Then you can be satisfied with yourself.
Yeah,
And
yeah, and
yeah, then, as you said, of course, the negative cycle comes. Yeah, thinking, why I'm not playing, and then of course you play worse. I think
mhm.
that's so important for athletes to realize as well.
Right. Yeah, and it's crazy because like I think the turning point was like I moved to a new school, another state. I left a lot of things behind. Um, I got to a town that it's not really grateful, but like the school is good, and everything. And then everything was going good. I was about to start, but then the coach decided to change for I don't know necessarily his reasons. But then I started talking to my mom, and then my mom said, "Look, maybe it's time for you to self-reflect a little bit, and it's because that has been happening a lot in your life, like not playing as much as I wanted to, even though even people around would say that I was the best and whatever. Um, but then and then my mom said, "Look, maybe we need to find something because maybe it's something that it's a thought in your head that you're thinking that it's kind of like self-sabotaging yourself, and it's kind of holding you back in a way." But then we got to it was a game day, and then I was going to play, and then my mom was going to watch from back home, and then I didn't play. Like last minute, the coach changed his mind. Um, And then my mom texted me after the game and she said, "Look, I don't think it's you. I think it's just, it's just how life is. You need to learn from that and you just got to keep doing it. That's not something you can control. It's just,
Yeah,
it's just life trying to teach you something else." And then when my mom said that, I was like 100% that, like, look, I cannot control what the coach choose to do. I can only control my performance. So, like, let me stop worrying about what he's thinking and his reasons behind it, and let me just
yeah,
do myself. And I think that was the kind of like the turning point for me.
yeah. You have a cool mom, I have to say, that you can like that she understands the things like this, and you can talk with her like that. Um, yeah, I could say this same thing about my mom. Very grateful.
Hmm.
Like have a person that understands you so well that you can have these talks with. I think that's
Hmm.
so valuable in
Yeah.
your family.
um yeah, and to be honest, I have a hard time talking to people about those things. Do you feel
Why is
like
that?
that? Do you have a hard time talking to other people about some struggles in your life?
Mm, I think it's getting better.
Hmm.
Definitely, I am more of the person who used to think like I have to do things myself.
Hmm.
It's like things to improve things in my life. It is my own responsibility. I fully believe that. Only I can be the start to change things. Might not be my fault that I'm in this or that situation, but it's my responsibility to get out of it. But
Hmm.
I don't have to do it myself. I have to start it myself, but I started learning that, and I think the first time when I got into tribe, got into working with mentors, that's where I realized like so many people can help me on my journey, and that's where I change a little bit, got more open. But I don't have many people that I'm so open with. It's like my mom, I think my two best friends, and maybe my sports mental coach.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
it. But I think that's also enough.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is really important to have these people. And yeah, as you said, you have difficulties. I think with your mom, you said you talk a little bit about that, but do you have these people, or why is it difficult for you to talk about this?
I think I have almost like the same mindset that like I needed to do stuff by myself, and I feel like looking from kind of like the outside, I would I would think that I would sound as a loser talking about my struggles. That's why I kind of like you know what? Let me just figure out myself. I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to sound like I'm giving excuses because I mean we are the only ones that really knows like what happens in your lives and how we feel
Yeah.
about it, you know. And I try to be self-aware. I try not to be biased towards myself. You know, I try to look at all the variations and all the different points of view. But
It's
you know,
difficult sometimes. You get in your head.
yeah,
You need someone from the outside to who knows you, and only if you have been open with that person, the person can really know you and help you in that
yeah,
situation.
no, 100%. And you know, something that changed my mind a little bit was the book, The Happiness Advantage, that I
Oh
mentioned
yeah, you
in the group.
recently mentioned that, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's
because
cool.
I think one of the biggest things for me was like seeing the positive, you know. And there's an exercise that he mentions that we should always um, sit down and think about three things that we are thankful or grateful for in the day. And I think we start training our brain to see the positive things in that happens in our lives, and then it becomes easier and easier, you know, to see
Yeah.
the good things and not the negative, because the negative is like that everything it's you can
Our
see.
brain is wired like that.
Right.
Like by society, I don't know if it's by birth as well, but if you have like a stream of your subconscious mind, and then you would have like someone who picks out, like your brain picks out the thoughts, most of the time it's automatically negative.
Yeah, yeah,
But
100.
they're equally positive, negative, or neutral thoughts. It just depends on what you pick into your conscious mind,
Yeah,
and like this you train it.
yeah.
I love
And
that.
then yeah, one of the things that the guy in the book mentions is like how you should have people to support you, you know. And even in that exercise, if you do with other people, you know, if we decide to every day we're gonna say three things we are grateful for to each other, that makes it more valuable. It makes more powerful, you know.
Mm,
And then that's when I started to change my mind. Like, well, maybe I should start opening up a little bit more and like. Talking to people and say, look, I need help. Like it's, you know,
yeah.
it's not necessarily like, oh my God, I'm struggling that hard, but like just, you know, talking to someone, it's helpful already. So
Who doesn't need someone to talk to and figure out stuff? I mean,
yeah,
everybody. But if you're
yeah.
talking about it now, tell me one thing you're grateful for now, and then I'll do it.
So, you know, every time when I go to bed, I try to look at my day and, you know, and think of things. But I'm really grateful that we can have this talk, because I
Yeah.
think that it's just like sometimes doing podcasts, it blows my mind, you know, like how I can talk to someone like that. I have been in many environments that if I talk to people like that, like in the same conversation, they would be like, "What?" You know.
Yeah.
Well, so it's I'm happy that I have someone that I can talk to about those things, and they understand what I'm saying, you know. And you have kind of like the same inside, and it's almost like creating a mastermind, you know. So I think that's definitely something that I'm grateful for. What about you?
Nice thing to be grateful for. Yeah, for sure. One thing to add to that, I mean, I'm just grateful for the opportunity that we can connect so easily through
Hmm.
like the technology. all
Yeah.
over the world and make the thing that you just described possible. I mean, back then I would have had to fly out to the US so we can have this chat. But
Yeah.
now all this is possible, and yeah, very grateful for that.
Yeah,
Just one.
that's crazy because like I'm from Brazil. I speak Portuguese. You're from Germany. You speak German, and
Yeah,
then I'm in the U.S. and we're speaking English to each other, and we met from something totally different from different guys, and I mean that's just crazy to me, and I mean it blows my mind, but I think I love that, to be honest.
yeah.
Um, one of the things that I have been thinking to myself a lot, it's about performance, and trying to improve my performance. And I want to kind of bring this up a little bit and see what you have to say about it. Um, the last like over the summer, I started like training a little bit different. Uh,
Hmm.
Working more on biomechanics and stuff like that. Um, and then I started seeing myself performing better. Not only because of that, but because I also took um, some days off. Um, and then like I feel like my body's like when I go to the field, because when I go to the field, I gotta perform. Like in order for me to play on Saturday, I need to perform during the week, and I don't have the unfortunately, I cannot just sit back and like work super hard during the week and not save as many balls, and then hopefully on Saturday he will play me and then I'll be ready for it. I do believe that you need to do as much as you can in order to become better. Like if I'm doing if I'm playing soccer, if I'm getting 100 touches a day, in a period of 1 week, I'm gonna get better uh, faster than someone that is not doing as much. But at the
Yeah.
same time, like I need to step back and kind of like rest a little bit so my leg can be able to do, so I can let my leg be able to do the things, the passes that I wanted to do. You
And your
know,
mind as well. Your mind has also has to rest.
Exactly. So I've seen myself getting better because I'm taking some days off and letting
Yeah.
my body rest. And it's hard for me sometimes because like I want to go to the gym again
Yeah.
because I want to win and I want to win faster and tomorrow. But sometimes I need to stay in bed a little more, get an extra hour of sleep, and not do something that involves my body. You know. What are some things what do you think about it, and what are some things that you feel like it helps you in terms of performing, not necessarily in sports, but in life in general?
Yeah. It's all connected, anyways.
Hmm.
But yeah, very interesting that you thought about said it like that. Mm, I always used to think it was very interesting that when I was putting in all the work all the week, I did like training twice a day, and then I did tactical analysis here and there, everything perfect. And then like my teammate who only played video games, ate like shit, and slept like 6 hours, played 5 times better than me on the weekend. I was like, the fuck just happened? How can that be? And I don't think how he does it is the best way. I think, but also how I did it wasn't the best way either. What I learned more and more is, and that comes by training self awareness and listening to your body more and more, getting to know yourself as a person more and more, talking with other people, reflecting, is to listen to your body and know what your body needs at every um, point of the day, of the week. Like after a while, okay, today I need this type of food. Maybe it's even the day before the match, and you feel like, okay, it is a burger, like a good
Hmm.
burger that I need. I don't know. Or I need to, in the evening, I need to hang out with some friends. I won't go to bed, like, get the basics right, like sleep 8 hours at least, or whatever. But some stuff is like open to, is like flexible. You can see what your body needs, and as long as I have like the basics, like I have some things that I say, these 20% I will do during the week, no matter what, because these 20% are things that give me the most output. Maybe it's a specific thing that I do in the gym, or a specific ball work touches that I get. I get these at least done, because then I know, okay, I have the most important thing to progress. But then the rest, I try to listen more and more to my body, to my mind, to see what it needs. Maybe this week, okay, I really feel like I want to train twice a day. But maybe some other days, I'm just hanging out with friends, enjoying life. And yeah,
Yeah.
that has worked. And
Yeah, you mentioned something that's crazy because when I look back, you talk about a guy that would play video game and he would play better than you. When I look back and I look at kind of like my career here in the U.S., a lot of the times the guys that weren't playing, the guys that were playing above me, they were guys that would eat bad, they would smoke weed, they would drink, they wouldn't sleep, and all those things, but they would still play. And I mean, I do believe that it's a lot of reasons. I think it's life teaching me a lesson. I do
yeah,
think that it's like it's a test for me, and I think over time I'm gonna do better than them in a way. But I do also think that something that you mentioned, like because I was, maybe they were making saves that I wasn't, because they were kind of like they were arrested in a way more than I was.
yeah.
And
Mind was rested, and that ties in with the thing that I said in the beginning. Like, if that is not the only thing, like, only think about the like becoming professional and all the things that you have to do. Like,
yeah,
if you're stuck in that, then that transfers over to your performance.
hmm,
And the thing that these guys had is they let loose a little bit. They have other aspects of life. I think in the long term, we'll be way more successful because we focus on improving ourselves so much and we don't indulge in all these unhealthy things. But as you said, I think it has a reason that, like, life life made it that way. It's like a lesson to be learned for us, and
hmm,
to let loose a little bit.
yeah, no, that it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, like I was putting so much pressure in terms of like I gotta perform, I need to perform, that I kind of like it just I was just making myself not play as best as I could. But yeah, makes a lot of sense. Um, what are some books you have been reading? I love talking about books and
Yeah,
podcasts. I think that I think one of my missions here it's like change the way that some athletes think, and kind of challenge them in a way, like I mean, the mission of the athletic school is challenging athletes to become a better version of themselves, and see the
mm,
the world in a different view. And I think that involves like reading, because a lot of athletes they don't read, they don't learn anything about emotional intelligence or anything like that. They don't study philosophy, and I think philosophy helps you kind of like discovering who you are and things like that. Um, so, what are some books that you have been reading? Some of the insights that you had from books, and some books that you would recommend to people.
yeah. So one book I've been rereading, I've actually read it, I think, 1.5 years ago, is A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. He is the one who wrote Power of Now. I think you know that. But A
Mm-hmm.
New Earth is like, um, it's similar to Power of Now, but I think it's more practical, and I think the topics are like, it's better to understand and to
Mm-hmm.
adapt to your own life. And it's a lot about um, discovering the present moment for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and how to master, like, being in the present, in the flow, how you interact with other human beings. I think that's like that's a very important thing,
Mm-hmm.
and that I would definitely recommend. This is one book that changed so much for me.
Mm-hmm.
and that's like most recent one. What is another book I've read? Recently, I don't know. I've just started. I can't say if it's like an amazing book yet, but 5 people have recommended it to me and
Mm-hmm.
said like this is so amazing. This book will change your life, and I've read 3 chapters. It's called Celestine Prophecy. So yeah, as of now, I think it's very interesting. It also talks a
Mm-hmm.
lot about like consciousness in society. As you see, that's something that interests me a lot. I
Yeah.
think that's very, very important. Yeah, so look it up.
Mm-hmm. I will.
Many people have recommended it to me, so people who are listening, maybe that's something for you as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
and consciousness is like consciousness for me. Consciousness, then connection slash network, and skills. Those are like the 3 main things for me right now, because that's like something nobody can take from you. The skills that you develop, they always stay with you. What is in your brain, what you can do, the connections you form, the relationships, deep relationships, I think is so important. And
Mm-hmm.
then like developing your consciousness always. I think those are the 3 main pillars.
Mm-hmm. I agree. That's awesome. Yeah, a few books that I have been reading that I read actually. I just started the Kabbalion. Such a complex book. I don't know if it's because of my English, but that's so complex. But
Is it
I've
like
been,
scientific words as well and all that?
yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just the idea. It's like it's pretty like none of the ideas is practical. It's like it doesn't tell you what to do. It just gives you like a sentence, and then you got to decide what it is. you know but
What
there
is
are
it about exactly?
so there's 7 principles of the hermetic. I think it's the hermetic philosophy. um and then one of the principles is like life is mental. The principle of proportion. There's 7 principles, and I won't remember all of them, but they are extremely important. It's like about the word, like, and I mean, I love it, and I think it's really it makes us think a lot about ourselves,
Yeah,
and it has a lot of knowledge in there and a lot of wisdom. But it does take me a little bit to understand. It's a pretty short book, and that's the thing. Like, it's complex, but because it's short, and I feel like it makes you think a lot. It almost like give a good headache.
yeah,
But yeah, um, the happiness advantage. I love that book.
yes.
And
I
one
recommend
from,
it to everyone. Yeah,
yeah, it changed the way that I was thinking. Because for me, I was always thinking like that I shouldn't look for happiness. I should look for fulfillment, and I still think that. But with the book, I've seen that like fulfillment and happiness, they are connected. They're almost like the same thing.
yeah,
And one of the ways that the guy described happiness, it's like when you are in a path trying to become the best version of yourself, and you're trying to reach your goals. That's happiness. So it's like
yeah.
it's a feeling of fulfillment that you feel every day. um
It's not
and I mean,
always these moments of joy, like when you
yeah.
score a goal. That's also happiness. But basic happiness, like sometimes you don't think it's happiness, but
Mhm.
it's part
Yeah,
of
no,
that. Life cannot always be on the level as like the happiness that you feel when you score a goal. Then after a while, it will be boring. It's like with all its up and
yeah.
downs, but as you said, that's it.
Yeah, no way. Exactly. Yeah, and I mean he has other 7 principles in the book as well, and I want to make a video about it. But yeah, that changed the way that I think. In another book that I really liked it's Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone.
Mm.
Um, he goes like extremely deep in being obsessed, but I think if you have values and principles and you can think for yourself, I think it's an extremely helpful book. Because um, he says that we all have obsessions, and then we need to to learn from those obsessions, and how to turn these obsessions to good things.
Yeah.
um and I mean, I really love the, like, be obsessed or be average, and it's like, it is what it is, like, you have two choices: be obsessed or be average. And I
Yes.
like that. I think it's extreme for some people, but I just think it's extreme for some people because they don't really understand the concept of being obsessed. And I think, like, what we're doing here, we are being obsessed, and not necessarily being obsessed of becoming a professional soccer player, but being obsessed of becoming a better version of ourselves, of um, reaching financial freedom, and performing our best on the field, off the field. I think that's kind of the obsession that I think for myself.
Mm.
So that's definitely a book that I also recommend.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. And one thing I just want to point out again, what you said, what's very important is think for yourself. Like with all the books that also we recommend and everything, like the if you read a book, you don't have to agree with 100% of that, and it doesn't have to reflect everything that you feel is right. But if you get some parts out of every book, or you reflect it by yourself, you think critically, you think, how does that fit to me? Then that's how you have to do it, in my opinion.
yeah, I agree 100%. Um, Well, Loves, thanks so much for joining me one more time.
Yes.
36 minutes that
Yeah,
will
it's
change
true.
both.
It's true.
Yeah,
That's when you're in the flow and you're obsessed about talking about different stuff, about your passions.
yeah,
Great
yeah.
fun
No,
again.
yeah. I love that. So many different sides, and I feel like the quality of my day increased so much when I record a podcast, because just because of those subjects that we just
Yeah.
talked. So I really appreciate you coming down again and talking to me and taking the time, even though we are in so different time frames and time zones. But I really appreciate that, and yeah, thanks so much. I hope we'll keep in touch, of course. I love to see. I would love to do another one, in the future, and see how things
Maybe
are
in
going.
person
Well,
sometime.
why not? Why not? Yeah,
Yes.
I'd love to go to Germany.
Yes. Or Europe. Europe is not as big.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. It was a blast. Thanks for having me.